Hi, my name is Rick Van Bruggen. I'm a civil engineer. More specifically, I'm a water resources engineer. My firm is Water Resources Consulting Services, WRCS, in Palm Desert, California. I have been in the field for about 30 years. When I got my master's out of UCLA in water resources engineering, I immediately started my career with the Army Corps of Engineers, the Los Angeles District, in reservoir operations. I was actually doing real-time flood operations and writing hydrology reports and reservoir operation manuals. Loved that work. Went into some private industry after a few years, and within 5 years of starting my career, my employer, in a private consulting firm in Northern California, asked me if I'd be willing to testify in a trial as an expert witness. I'd never done that before. And I said I would, and I went through the experience. I actually got on the stand in a trial in Marin County, flooding case, and acted as an expert witness on the stand, giving some testimony. Loved it. I'm a frustrated teacher. It's like teaching, and I taught myself through my master's program at UCLA, and gave me an opportunity to do that in my field of specialty. Well, within 8 years of getting into my career, I formed my own consulting firm, sole proprietorship, and haven't looked back. I've been had my own firm now for over 25 years. And through the years, I've developed more and more of my work in the field of litigation support as an expert witness, to where now it is in excess of 90% of my work. It's mostly all that I do is act as an expert witness. Plaintiff defendant, both sides, 50-50 pretty much. Most of my cases are in flooding or flood-related cases. These days it seems to be a lot of class action suits where neighborhoods and residents get flooded and collectively sue the city, the county, the flood control district, the state. And I've been on both sides, plaintiff and defendant sides, of a number of those cases. Some cases involve storm drain design, operation and management of storm drain systems. I've worked modeling of floodplains, floodplain analysis, and actually even a number of drowning cases where I have modeled the hydraulics around the drowning, surrounding the drowning, seeing if they would have made it through that 80-foot long culvert at the velocity the speed was going, and they didn't. But all the cases are interesting, and I love it because it is very much like teaching for those cases that get to trial. Only about 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 actually get to trial. But when they do, you get to do a presentation in front of the judge or jury. I've worked on in excess of 200 cases, been deposed 100 times, and gone up in front of judge and jury in a trial 27 times. You call me a glutton for punishment because it's tough being an expert in many ways, because you're working for attorneys. You're working specifically with an opposing attorney in all cases. That's his whole purpose there is to make you look bad, to make your opinions sound like they're wrong, and make their opinions of their expert sound like they're right. So there's a lot of stress involved. You are working for attorneys, and you got to consider they argue for a living. And it is a very ethically involved field, because while ethics is involved in all engineering, as an expert witness, your day-to-day is involved in ethics. You have confidentiality issues with your client. You have conflict of interest potential with various parties, and you're always dealing with data and analysis on a case, some of which is going to be in the favor of your client for their side of the case, but you're going to be developing a lot of data and discovering a lot of things that are in opposition and actually helps the other side. And as an unbiased expert, ethically, you've got to be able to talk about both sides. I've gone into a niche myself. As a registered civil, I could be a civil engineering expert witness, but there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of cases for just calling for the expertise of a civil engineer. More specifically, as a water resources engineer, there's less cases, but I get involved more in the focus of what my expertise is. And you're able to raise your rates doing that, and you're able to get work more out of your locale. So I've actually developed a client base and worked on cases all over the country, and a number of international cases also. I mentioned reservoir operations is where I started. That's become a little niche of mine as far as specialty as an expert witness. I've been hired as an expert in reservoir ops cases where flooding is involved, a dam and reservoir, and the operation of the reservoir has come under question. And those are some of my favorite cases to work on. And in those niche cases, again, your rates can be higher and you can get called internationally, which is what I've had happen to me. Overall, though, I got to say the experience is incredible. You're actually serving a very important purpose in the American justice system because you're there to educate the judge and the jury on technical issues. And there's nothing more gratifying than explaining to a jury made up of perhaps people that mostly all have less than high school education, and you're explaining a very technical concept, maybe about a reservoir routing, and you're putting it in layman terms. And if you can explain it to them and you just see the jury members go, oh, I get it, your job's done. You didn't win the case, that's the attorney's case to do. He's the way there to win the case. But as a teacher to the court, you've done your job.